Yeah.
Great. Okay, perfect. All right. Well, I'll go ahead and get started. Welcome to Demo Day for Cohort 12 at Innovate Birmingham. I am the Director of Operations, Danita Bearden, and it is my honor to welcome you to today's event. For those of you who are new to our mission here at Innovate Birmingham, in a nutshell, we are dedicated to fueling the technology workforce with a well-rounded talent who need and are looking for the opportunity to build a career in our industry. Since 2017, Innovate Birmingham has served now more than 700 candidates and scholarship recipients. We have success stories and highlights as well as information on our program on our website. If you'd like to learn more about Innovate Birmingham, how you can get involved, support our mission, or enroll in the next cohort, visit us at innovatebham.com or connect with us on our social media channels. Our candidates have been working hard to learn, interpret, and now deliver their final projects. To give you an idea of what to expect today, all three groups from our data cohort will present their projects, and we will follow that with a 5 to 7 minute question and answer session with our judges. We'll repeat the same process for our software development group. And then following all presentations, we'll have a 10-minute intermission to allow the judges to deliberate and select the winning groups. Speaking of winning, on top of the invaluable skills and techniques that all of our candidates have learned in the last 14 weeks, the group winners of each course will earn bragging rights, a 1-year subscription to LinkedIn Learning, as well as a $100 Amazon gift card. A huge thank you to our judges. Today, we're joined by Brooke Gillis, Program Manager for Techstars Alabama Energy Tech, Irina Pritchett, LIBOR Transition and Strategic Risk Manager at Regions Bank, Will Madison, Senior Software Development Engineer at Microsoft, and Ethan Summers, Chief Executive Officer at Fledging. Judges, we truly appreciate your time and expertise today. I know we're all excited to get started, so without further ado, I'll introduce you to the one and only Robin Hunt of Think Data Solutions, who will introduce our data candidates. Robin, it's all yours.
Thank you so much. So give us just a second to get our screens set. Just a shout out to my team that's here 6 feet away from me in other directions. Taylor Abney, who's been a key instructional staff member, and Reggie White, who we all lovingly call Whitney or Abney and White. Students have grown to love them and rely on them from the very beginning. So Think Data is actually a curriculum provider, and we also provide instructions for the boot camp. So as we go through today, just understand in case we have an issue, we'll try our best to have some failover issues so that we won't have too much going on and not break our routine. At the beginning, every person needs a career and in technology, and sometimes it's the middle of their career that they're changing. When the students come to us, they're all very different. They have different skill sets and different life experiences, but they're all going to be a data analyst or try to penetrate the data market. Most people ask me, what is a data analyst? And they want a sentence answer. And it's really not that simple because every company is different. How they approach their data is different. What tools they use are different. And those tools grow and change, and new ones are created all the time. At Innovate Birmingham, we strive to create data workers who will grow to be data analysts, data engineers, or even data scientists in their career. But before they can ever really start any of their job in data, they have to have the fundamentals of data. I love the description of data worker. Data workers are workers who collect, store, manage, and analyze data as their primary activity and as a relevant part of their activity. And I think the world is probably full of more data workers than we even know. Okay, let's talk about our presentations. I think we can all agree that 2020 brought about some major changes to us professionally and also personally. This cohort had a lot to choose from. And as we are a workforce development program, they focused on things that they believe would actually impact all of us. Our offices within a period of a week were empty. And some of this left us feeling like we were probably empty. We'd gone from being surrounded by people to all of a sudden we couldn't be around people and we were working from home. In this cohort, you're going to hear about the 2 studies that they developed. They're aimed at capturing remote work. Again, that essentially happened overnight. In our first presentation, we're going to review the impact of the remote work to the worker. In our inaugural cohort at Innovate Birmingham, we actually studied remote work. This was in 2019, nearly a year before the pandemic. It certainly provided relevant information for this particular study. So in our second team, you're going to hear the comparison of remote work in 2019 to 2020. And then finally, we'll explore the impact of what we've all commonly faced in mental health. Did our mental health opinions change during the pandemic? Do we leverage access to mental health support? Do we even feel more or less anxious? So let me turn it over to our first team and very specifically, Yolanda.
Thank you, Robin. As you can see, we have a major rift caused by the pandemic was led to an immediate major transformation of the workforce. Remote work is the primary driver for sustainability on employers and employees. For everyone's safety, we must adapt while keeping our productivity and keeping informed through open communications with the ever increasing use of virtual communications such as Zoom, social media such as Teams and Slack, as well as the usual emails and telephone calls. Today's presentation was based on that data collected from a recent release survey by a cohort within our local Birmingham area to gain a broader, in-depth view. Again, my name is Yolanda Coleman, and my teammates, Alex Hughley, Selena Abdullah, and Mario Baker, would like to introduce you to impact of remote work on the worker. As you can see on my next slide, our graphs to give you insights of the industries that people who responded to our survey represents to see we had the highest ranked response. And as you can see on this graph, education ranks the highest impact. It's next to informational technology, as we're using now, as well as financial and healthcare. However, we have a lot of different industries altogether. Displayed here are the top of the job titles ranked by their seniority level. And as you can see on the right, the seniority level used in the education level, the mid-level group is in management in the seniority group with bachelor degrees. And now I would like to pass this on to my team member, Alice Hughley, whom will explain the changes in work policies pertaining to remote work. Take it, Alex.
Thank you, Yolanda. Hi, everyone. My name is Alex Hughley, and I wanted to discuss business closure industry with remote work policy and company response with remote work or not. So we asked our respondents if their place of employment shut down or temporarily closed, with approximately 64% of our survey respondents answering that their place of employment shut down or closed, but saying that it didn't instead. We also asked if their industry have a remote work policy in place. Our top 5 industries were education, scientific and technical services, information, healthcare, finance, and insurance. This allows workers to safely work at home due to their policies that are in place. Even in the top 5, they have variations that does not have a remote work policy in place, a majority being in scientific and technical plus healthcare. And now I'll pass it off to Selena, who will present respondents' performance of remote work.
Hello, thank you, Alex. My name is Selena Abdullah, and I'll discuss the respondents' sentiments and preferences when it comes to working and remote work. According to an article on Gallup.com, 62% of people would prefer to work remote. We can see a similar reaction in our results. Majority of our respondents agreed that they would work from home if given the opportunity. Since Alex mentioned industries and remote work policy, we're going to dive in to see how having that policy influences respondents' ability to separate themselves from their current work environment as well as their productivity. In the reference to both of the visuals on the top and the bottom, people who responded that they have a remote work policy that allows them to work from home are in orange, and those who said that they did not are in blue. The top visual shows that people who have the remote work policy option, 48% of them agree that they are most productive. And interestingly, in the bottom visual, we asked how easy or difficult it is for you to separate yourself from your current work environment. Out of those with the option of remote, majority find it difficult. With these people are productive, it is hard for them to separate themselves from their work environment. We also asked if you were remote prior to COVID so we could distinguish people who were already remote from others and who may have been forced remote for a period of time. On the top, when asked how valuable or not valuable, you can see that 44% of the people who were not remote prior to COVID found that it is more valuable for them to be in the same physical space as their coworkers, which you could see by the dark red on the top right side of the bar. While those that have been remote prior to COVID, only 23% of them found it valuable. On our next visual below, we're taking a look at respondents' ways to work. Out of all respondents that stated they work best face-to-face, 90% of those were not remote prior to COVID in the orange. If you look to the left of that at those that work best virtually, like through Zoom or different meeting websites, you can see an 11% increase in those that have been remote prior to COVID in the dark red versus not remote in the orange. Now, taking a look at more of our respondent sentiments, most of our respondents agreed that having a flexible schedule is extremely important, while on the contrary, most people felt that in-person supervision is not as important. As you can see on the top, there are levels of importance of having a flexible schedule, while on the bottom, you can see those levels for in-person supervision. Majority of those that find it highly important to have a flexible schedule flow mainly into the category of non-important for in-person supervision. Having that flexible schedule really helps maintain that work-life balance, especially if you have children. Mario will look into the respondents that have children, as well as the respondents that are essential workers or non-essential workers. Take it away.
Thank you, Selena. As a dad with a second grader and an elderly mom at home, working from home seems very appealing to me. How do you feel about COVID? In our survey, Impact of Remote Work on the Worker, respondents made clear how they felt. I will take a look at essential workers and satisfaction. According to U.S. Department of Homeland Security, essential workers are those who conduct a range of operations and services that are typically essential to continue critical infrastructure operations. On this project, we asked our respondents about their employment. 64% replied they work 40 plus hours per week right now. To focus on remote work from home, we filtered out the unemployed respondents and focused on essential workers. The pie chart below shows our respondents at 58% essential with 42% non-essential workers. The column chart here on top shows us the respondents' age and if they have children. The middle-age respondents, 35 to 44, has 22% children, which doubled any of the other groups. Our bottom left pie chart shows satisfaction of working from home for all respondents with children at 83%. The bottom right pie chart shows satisfaction of respondents with no children at 66%. So far, seems to me that working from home is okay from a worker perspective. Our essential workers' satisfaction percentage was 60%, with dissatisfaction at 8%. A little more in depth shows ages 35 to 44 of essential workers had the highest dissatisfaction percentage at 24%, while ages 25 to 34-year-old were next at 5%. This actually makes sense because, as we all know, life happens. We produce children, we accept promotions, we accept raises, all of which add to responsibility to our daily lives. We move around to secure what we think we want in life. But happily, I see working from home gets a thumbs up. Next, you will be presented with how people felt prior to COVID with a comparison to our 2020 survey. That Ms. Robin Hunt.
It's okay. You can call me Data or
Oh,
Data,
Miss
either
Data
one.
Hunt.
So as I mentioned earlier in our introduction, our cohort 7 performed a remote work study in March 2019, almost a year prior to the pandemic. We wanted to look at what did it look like in 2019 as compared to 2020. And we wanted to look at how the policies were impacted and just overall the comparison between the two. I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to this team, starting with Joshua Green.
Thank you, Robin. My name is Joshua Green, and the question how you interact with your coworkers, supervisors, and managers will be presented in the following visuals. Please note that in the following presentation, everything presented on the left side is from 2019 and everything presented on the right side is from 2020. Here I will be discussing the demographic comparison from each year. As you can see, there was only a 11% increase in remote workers from 2019 to 2020 prior to COVID. On the bottom, you can see the age comparisons. Overall, most of the other respondents from each year were between the ages of 25 and 44. I wanted to look at the different industries and compare the way people said they interacted with each other in 2019 and 2020. My assumption would be I would see an increase in certain areas and a decrease in other areas. If you look at the charts, you can see that interaction through both emails and telephones from both years were nearly the same. In 2020, we would see a drastic decrease in in-person meetings. And even though it's not dramatic, you almost have a 10% increase in virtual calls. Because we have a large banking presence, I wanted to compare the data from the financial service industry. Here you can see that in-person meetings severely decreased from last year. Communication through emails, telephones has stayed nearly the same. Also, there was an increase in virtual calls and the use of social tools. Here I compare the education industry. You can see that communication through emails from each year stayed nearly the same, while communication through telephones increased by 7%. In-person meetings once again decreased, while virtual calls increased over 15%. Alabama is home of one of the top ranked medical research schools in the country. Because of this, I wanted to compare the healthcare and social assistance industry. Just as the other industries, in-person meetings decreased as virtual calls increased by 8%. Communication through emails, social tools, and telephones stayed nearly the same. Now I would like to turn it over to my teammate, Stephen Wills.
Thank you, Josh. So to set a baseline for the 2019 and 2020 survey comparison, I've taken the top 5 industries between those two data sets. In 2019, information or the tech industry and all its adjacent industries was the leading industry of survey respondents, representing 64% of the total industries. The effect of the COVID-19 pandemic upon the labor market is evident in the 2020 responses, with unemployment representing 31% of respondents. Education came in second with 19%, and information in third with 16%. Prior to COVID-19, working remotely was primarily the domain of those in the information sector. This is evidenced by 60% of those remote workers being in the information sector in the 2019 survey. In 2020, respondents were asked whether they had worked remotely prior to COVID-19. In the pie chart on the right-hand side, you'll notice the healthcare industry leading with 22%. These leading non-remote work industries represent some of the most heavily affected by the imminent change in distribution of remote work in 2020. Across leading industries in the 2020 survey, the return to work options varied, with no single approach taking a majority in a single industry. Most industries occupy more than 3 separate responses. Specifically, either remote only, a hybrid option, or the personal option of remaining remote or returning to the office. This fractious response can be accounted for in the difference in stay-at-home orders across states, essential businesses, and corresponding essential workers. Not only did the leading industries of survey respondents see changes in response to COVID-19, their attitude toward remote work by their employee status changed as well. In 2019, the sentiment toward remote work was more ambivalent than in 2020 in salaried workers, 16% versus 6%, and equal in hourly workers at 19%. In 2020, however, a larger percentage of people were more likely to strongly agree across all but one employment type that where it was already established, remote work should continue. In our respondents, the overall effect of COVID-19 polarized sentiment toward a strongly positive view of remote work. Between 2019 and 2020, respondents showed a shift in the ability to achieve a work-life balance. Most notably, the leading answer of respondents in 2019 was neutral, accounting for nearly 40% of total responses. However, in 2020, the leading answer was that the separation had become difficult, accounting for around 33% of responses. Additionally, those respondents in 2020 who worked remotely prior to COVID accounted for a larger percentage of all degrees of difficulty. To further explore how the COVID-19 pandemic has affected the personal lives of respondents, I'll turn it over to the next group.
Thank you, Stephen. Going forward, I would like to turn your attention to mental health. And throughout this presentation, we invite you to consider how your own opinion on mental health may have changed this year. We published an additional survey called Experiencing COVID-19. We will discuss demographics, essential versus non-essential workers, anxiety, social media consumption, and the changes of opinion on mental health. I'd like to introduce my team, starting with Bonnie Sims, Jesse McGarity, Shannon Ellis, Caleb Spruill, and myself, Karen Van Wardenberg. I will begin talking about demographics. We had respondents all over the world, and 56% are right here in Alabama, mostly in the Jefferson and Shelby County areas. The two visuals on the left show about 54% of the respondents being in the 25 to 44 age group, and about 75 are in the white Caucasian ethnic group. The two visuals on the bottom right show the status of employment and essential worker breakdown, with 77% of the respondents being employed. The essential worker breakdown is about even. As Mario previously mentioned, we would like to define the non-essential worker, the essential worker, pardon me. The U.S. Department of Homeland Security advised that essential workers are those who conduct a range of operations and services that are typically essential to continue critical infrastructure operations. This next visual shows industry by essential worker. We expected to see healthcare as the top industry in the Birmingham area. This was followed by education and finance. The card visual at the bottom right shows the 5 top industries for the non-essential worker. Next, I'd like to turn it over to Bonnie.
Thank you, Karen. I really wanted to dig into the survey questions we asked revolving around access and utilization of mental health support services. Here you can see on the left, out of all respondents, that over half answered that they do have access to services, as noted in the shades of blue. To our surprise, though, if you look at the chart on the right, of those people who have access, almost 70% are not currently utilizing mental health support services. You will see here a breakdown between essential workers on the left and non-essential workers on the right, and their utilization of mental health support services since the start of COVID-19. We had assumed that we would see more essential workers start to use support services, considering they have had to stay on the front lines during a global pandemic. We found it interesting, however, that more non-essential workers started utilizing support services, which you can see represented in the yellow portions of the tree maps. These are the different types of support services that respondents are utilizing in regards to mental health, broken up between essential and non-essential workers. You can see in the light blue area for both types of workers that there is a heavier utilization in the use of virtual appointments, for good reason during COVID-19. After virtual licensed appointments, the next most used service is self-care, seen in the yellow portion of the charts. This can mean several different things like new hobbies, wellness apps, exercise and journaling, among other things. We also think that it is interesting to note that essential workers are leveraging in-person licensed care more than non-essential. And as we debated this as a team, we thought it may be because they have access to this on-site at their job, but we would need more information to study the why. Now I would like to turn the presentation over to Jessie.
Thank you, Bonnie. We asked unemployed respondents, non-essential and essential workers how often they felt anxious, nervous, or on edge at 3 different time points throughout 2020, before COVID-19, during the first 6 months of the pandemic, and currently. This slide has breakdowns of each group's responses: never to almost never, sometimes, and often. You will see this slide repeated with the use of transparent boxes to highlight each respondent group as I speak about our findings. Our unemployed group makes up 23% of all respondents and is surprisingly the least anxious. Even prior to COVID-19, 45% indicated that they never or almost never felt anxious. While we did see a rise in those experiencing anxiety often during the first 6 months, it was less dramatic than our essential and non-essential workers, which I'll point out in the next 2 slides. Currently, their anxiety levels have only shifted slightly compared to the beginning of the pandemic. Now we're looking at our non-essential workers. Before the pandemic, this group's responses were the most evenly distributed. However, in the first 6 months, they experienced quite an increase in anxiety, with responses of never to almost never dropping to under 10%, and those who experience these feelings often rising to almost 60%. When we look at their current responses, they appear to have slightly began to relax, with over 55% sometimes feeling anxious and less than 30% still experiencing anxiety often. Essential workers have been a focal point throughout this presentation. They are understandably dealing with the highest levels of anxiety. Even before COVID, over 50% of our essential workers sometimes felt anxious, nervous, or on edge. As we suspected, in the first 6 months of the pandemic, these levels climbed. Those experiencing anxiety often more than doubled from 25% pre-pandemic to just under 60% during the first 6 months. Currently, these numbers remain high, with 33% sometimes and 46% often feeling anxious. So what does this all mean? Anxiety levels rose for everyone during the first 6 months of the pandemic, as we assumed. However, we found it very interesting that the group least impacted were unemployed respondents. This could possibly be due to a combination of expanded unemployment benefits and their ability to safely isolate at home, removing some of the stressors experienced by other groups, especially our essential workers. I can only imagine the extreme pressure one might feel while trying to protect the health of their families, yet still providing during a global pandemic. Now I'll hand things over to Shannon to look at the effects of social media consumption.
Thank you, Jessie. I wanted to explore the relationship of those who used more social media and their anxiety levels. So starting from the left with the red ribbon, representing often experiencing anxiety, we can see an increase of almost 18% within the first 6 months, and then dip to approximately 12% currently, but not returning to the levels seen before COVID-19. You can see an almost inverse relationship in our blue ribbon of our never to almost never experiencing anxiety group drop to about 4%. So how did these anxiety levels of our respondents who used more social media change over time? We looked further into our respondents' anxiety levels from before COVID-19, as seen on the left, and those changes in the first 6 months and currently. Starting at the top with our never to almost never group, we can see these changes in both time periods, where respondents began experiencing anxiety, sometimes and often, with an almost increase of 40% within the first 6 months. While in our sometimes category, what is interesting to note here is on the right in our currently, where not a single respondent stated that they never to almost never experience anxiety. Finally, looking at the bottom of our often respondents, they maintained a high level of experiencing anxiety. Overall, we can see the changes in anxiety levels of those who used more social media in a pandemic landscape nonetheless have an increase in experiencing anxiety, especially within the first 6 months. I will now be passing it on to Caleb to share our findings on the change of mental health opinion.
Thank you, Shannon. One of the questions that intrigued our group was if respondents' opinions on mental health had changed during the COVID-19 pandemic. Here you can see the overall shift in mental health opinion of our respondents. You might find it interesting that over 70% of respondents experienced some change in their mental health opinion. I wanted to look at how those opinions differed in essential and non-essential workers. Currently, among respondents that identified as essential workers, 29% stated that their view on mental health had changed a moderate amount, while at the same time, 29% stated that they had no shift in their mental health opinion. At this time, 31% of the respondents that identified as non-essential workers stated that they had no shift in their mental health opinion, while 23% stated that they had a little shift in their opinion since the beginning of the pandemic. We asked respondents if they wanted to share the reason that their opinions on mental health had changed. Here you can see a couple of the responses. As you can see from these responses and our overall presentation, COVID-19 has had a remarkable impact on the mental health of our respondents and people everywhere. Now more than ever, in the words of one of our survey respondents, we need to support each other more. On behalf of all the Cohort 12 data analytics candidates, we thank you for your time, and we hope we left you with some new insights today.
Awesome. I'm trying not to be emotional. They all knew it was coming. I wanted to also shout out a very special part of our team, our Nature Gray. She was unable to present today at no fault of her own. However, she did spend many a night going through the presentations, double checking all of their speaker notes, looking through all their slides. I told them yesterday that there are hours of work that they put in to get to this 30 minutes. They developed every question, they developed every data set, and they poured hours just into talking points. They probably created at least 1,000 Power BI files and tons of Power Query. They spent 14 weeks learning data from the beginning so they could spend the last 2 weeks to present this information to you in 30 minutes. They've been a delight. Coachable. And I'm proud. I'm very proud of them. Good job, guys. Okay, I think it's my job to now turn it over to the judges. Or to Haley Hoppy to turn it over to the judges.
Thanks so much, Robin, and great job, data class. Really proud of you guys. So judges, if you wouldn't mind turning on your cameras and if you, first person who speaks can turn on their microphone, that would be great. Thank you. You all are going to have 5 to 7 minutes to ask the groups in the data class that presented some questions. I will start the clock and we will go now.
Hi, I have a question for the first group. How were the survey participants selected? And do you feel like there were demographics that were overrepresented or underrepresented after the responses came in?
Okay, so my name is Mario Baker. And as a group, we used social media and we used, family members, friends. Miss Hunt used some avenues that she had, but pretty much it was just social media and reaching out to work people, related friends, family, and coworkers and cohorts.
Demographics wise, majority of our respondents were primarily from Alabama. We saw over a good amount of that in ours and as well as the other groups as well.
Thank you.
So my question is for group number 2. I think this actually might have been the case for all groups, that everybody seemed to utilize surveys as their main data capture tool. One thing that I've seen sort of in my experience with surveys is that sometimes it's more art than science as you craft some of those questions. So I'll be curious to see, how'd you come up with the questions that you came up with? And did you consider any other tools to capture some of the data to tell this story?
I can field that one. So I think in terms of the dimensions that were necessary to compare between 2019 and 2020, we wanted to create kind of a holistic picture of those dimensions that would, for comparison, that would be not only directly comparable, but sort of create an effect around, to tell the story of around what the pandemic was doing to the status of remote work. I think specifically having the questions about retaining the questions between 2019 and 2020 about remote work, as well as the demographic information and occupation sentiment as well, made us able to create that picture.
Okay, I might be breaking the rules, but I kind of want to hear the answer to everybody. So I guess group 3 can answer it first, since we haven't used group 3 yet. But I'm curious, you obviously had a lot of information to put onto these slides. And I'm curious who, if the whole group decided as a whole, or each individual person decided if they were going to use a certain graph to display it actually on the slide. So I'm curious if that was a group or one-on-one.
Each team can address this question, but yes, let's start with 3, go to 2, and then go to 1.
I can fill this for group 3. So initially, we knew that somebody needed to cover demographics, and we all wanted to explore what we were initially seeing from our results from the survey to kind of get at least a picture of how this data might potentially look like. So initially, I wanted to focus on social media, news, and time spent in nature, and we narrowed it down to be a more consistent focus. And it also created a relationship between what Jesse and I both covered. We also kind of just followed our gut instincts with our data cleaning being a base documentation there. And from there, we decided to look at our personas, which for us, it was essential workers and non-essential workers, so that we could have a cohesive story across all of our stuff. And then we collaborated with our graphs and obviously got feedback from our dear Robin Hunt.
For the second group, the comparison group, we pretty much wanted to have basic visuals that told a broader story. So we decided to have 1 year, which was 2019 on the left side, and this year was 2020 on the right side, and told our story from that.
I can also, sorry, I didn't know if y'all wanted to kick it to group 1, but just quickly, I can corroborate that the process of cleaning the data was a highly collaborative process between Josh and I, and it was being so closely intertwined in that process really helped create a more uniform set of visuals.
Absolutely.
What did that process actually entail? Like, what was the data like from an integrity perspective?
So when we initially brought the data into Power BI, the cleaning process included a lot of value replacement. It involved creating the key integrity with the respondent ID. Those were the 2 primary tasks, and then further winnowing down to the data, the columns and changing column headings and uniformity between 2019 and 2020, and then deciding what areas of focus we would like to take from there. Specifically, we saw that in the industries as well, and the sentiment. So yeah.
It consisted of a strong use of Power Query.
Exactly.
Strong use.
All right, we've got little over 1 minute left. We have one more question from Ethan.
Hi there. I have a question for the first team. Y'all surveyed individual people's opinion on working from home and the effectiveness for themselves. Did y'all think to look at what they thought of their teammates' effectiveness, or maybe what their managers thought of that effectiveness as well?
So we did, we looked at their perspectives. We did ask them how they felt working as a team. And And that's primarily what we got when it comes to working together or collaborating in any sort of way. We did ask, again, that supervision question, whether they like being under supervision, but we haven't asked specifically like about their managers or about their specific coworkers. I hope that answers your question.
It does, thank you.
Great work, everybody. Thank you, judges. All right, I'm going to hand it back off to Robin Hunt.
I'm so proud of you guys. You really did a great job. If this group of people had had 2 more weeks, I just cannot even imagine what they would have accomplished. For everything you saw today, there again are 100 data points they did not have time to make it to. I wish we could spend the whole 14 weeks just on the capstone project. However, in order to do a capstone project, they have to have that 14 weeks to learn how to do it. So thank you for your questions, judges. I appreciated every one of those. Now I'm going to turn it over to one of my most favorite people on this entire earth, Josh Hearn.
Thanks, Robin. Hi, everyone. I'm Josh. I'm the web development instructor. So we set out with each class to create software developers that are resourceful and seek out the answers to the hurdles that are inevitable in developing software. I want to congratulate all of my class on doing this and for all of your hard work and your perseverance. I'm proud of your performance on your final projects. These past 2 weeks have been a sprint to the finish. And I know you guys are going to impress everyone with what you've built. So yeah, with that little short intro out of the way, I'm going to go ahead and introduce the first team. Their application is called Tasky, and their presenter's name is Nikki Beck. Nikki, whenever you're ready.
Hello, everyone. Thank you all so much for taking the time to be part of Cohort 12's demo day. My name is Amanda Parrott, and I'm part of the Tasky calendar team. We are so excited to be presenting to you today, and we hope that you enjoy our product. The Tasky calendar is a new way for parents and children to approach the work and learn from home environment situation that we have found ourselves in today with the COVID-19 pandemic. With the rapid changes that we have gone through this year, many families are facing unique challenges when it comes to working and learning from home. Living rooms have become offices and classrooms, parents have become teachers, and schedules have gone completely out the window. All of these new challenges can create a stressful environment for both kids and parents. Tasky aims to solve these issues with an all-in-one place for parents and children to communicate, schedule events, and keep up with responsibilities. Additionally, Tasky aims to help children learn valuable time management skills that they can carry with them for the rest of their lives. With our organizational tools, we believe that we can alleviate many pain points such as prioritization, accountability, and time management for both parents and children. Again, my name is Amanda Parrott, and I helped develop the user interface design and created the reminder and calendar components using React, Bootstrap, Sass, Node.js, and Moment. Now I'm going to let the rest of the Tasky team introduce themselves and take you through a demonstration of our product.
Hello, everyone. My name is Gerida Tekle. In our project, I mainly contributed to the front end in the functionality, content, and styling of a component using React.js. Now I'll pass it on to Robert. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Robert Coleman, and I help work on the front end, back end, and database for the events component using a mix of React.js, Node.js, and MySQL Workbench. Thank you, and it's my pleasure to pass it off to Chris.
Hi, I'm Chris from Tasky. I developed the product workflow, framework, and agile implementation with Tasky's API using REST, and also the implementation of SQL database with Google's authentication. With the app that we've built, we would be able to retrieve data from other services like Google Calendar and online courses being offered by teachers and schools alike. This means that parents, teachers, and even coaches can stay connected in a platform that makes parent supervision and encouragement easier than ever. In this new learning environment, this app ultimately helps kids grow and adapt. What makes Tasky an exciting service is that our service looks forward to linking with major online platforms such as Moodle and CuriosityStream. In the future, we aim to give both kids and parents the best Tasky experience. So next up, let's take you on a quick demo of how you can use Tasky with our team member, Nikki.
Hello, everyone. My name is Nikki Beck, and I contributed to the brand development, user interface, and front-end development. I use languages like Sass, Bootstrap, and React to build the beautiful and user-friendly interface that you see in front of you. Our easy to navigate homepage is a great starting point to our app. It showcases our vision, highlights our key features, and has clear calls to action throughout. We're going to go up here and click our Get Started button. By clicking that, users are prompted to either sign up for a new account or log into an existing account. This is a safe and secure way for new and existing users to access their dashboard. We're going to sign in with Google. Upon logging in, you'll see your user information right here at the top, so users are clear which account they're in. As you scroll down, you'll be taken through the flow of your dashboard. The first two components you'll see here are the task list and the reminder list. Our layout is designed to help our users get the most done with their time, so we wanted to make sure that their to-dos were seen immediately. Let me explain how these components work and showcase some quick examples. First, we have reminders. One of the hopes of our app is to help teach children the importance of time management and responsibility. The Reminders tab is where kids can add items that they want to make sure they remember and complete. However, they can get this done whenever they want to. We're going to add a new reminder to our list right now, and you will see it populate to the bottom of the list. New reminder. And there it goes. Editing and deleting are just as simple. If the reminder no longer applies, simply click the edit button and you'll be able to adjust. We're going to delete this one off of our list now, and you'll see it will no longer be there. There we go. Next, you have the Create New Event section, where users will be able to create an event and set its details: name, location, time, and if it's mandatory. I'm going to create an example event now, and I'll make sure that it's set mandatory so that you can see how this plays out. New event. We're going to set the location to Hoover. We are going to select the date. We will select the start time, and we will select the end time. We'll make it mandatory, and we'll submit this event. The first place you will see this event populate is the task list right here. Children will not be able to edit the mandatory events that are set by the parents. This ensures accountability for events that parents want to make sure their children complete. The task list is an easy way for children to see all of the mandatory events their parents have set for them in one spot. The second place it will appear is down here on the calendar. This is where all events, mandatory or not, will generate in order for parents to stay in the loop on all important dates and tasks that are coming up. In order to edit or adjust an event, simply click into it and you'll see the various details like this. There we go. And I'm going to delete this event from my calendar because I no longer need it. Tasky aims to balance our new work and learn from home lives. With our app, children will learn various time management skills, streamline their schoolwork, and create their own environment for success, all the while allowing parents to focus on the work that they need to do. This concludes our presentation. Thank you so much for listening.
Wonderful job, guys. I love the design on that app. Okay. So our next team's application is called ZooTube, and here presenting that is Boyd Graves. Boyd, take it away.
Thanks, Josh. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Boyd Graves, along with Michael Green, Jared Nelson, Zach Farmer, Anthony Suarez. I'm going to be showing you our new streaming website, ZooTube. Our idea came about right during kind of the brainstorming session, and I asked if anyone had any good shows they'd been watching lately, and Michael sent me a aquarium stream. So from there, we decided to build out a site to watch all kinds of animals. Now, when I think about zoos, I think about the fun times I've had as a child, seeing all the exotic animals for the first time. And I know you probably think about similar experiences too, as a child, or maybe even with your children. Unfortunately, during the ongoing pandemic, children don't have the opportunity to see these majestic creatures and learn about the world around them like usual. We wanted to create a fun way for children to interact with these animals from the safety of their own home. Zoos provide many services to the animals they house and care for, as well as for the public. This has caused a problem in these organisms, as well as the public. These include animal rescue and rehabilitation, wildlife population management, along with research and education. Around the country, zoos have seen a sharp decline in attendance during the global pandemic. This caused a problem in these organizations' ability to care for these animals, as they rely heavily on public attendance, donations, and grants. Our goal is to direct the public to these organizations from their own home in order to generate more donations for animal care. We've accomplished this by creating a streaming website showcasing zoos, aquariums, wildlife refuges, and animal shelters from around the country. ZooTube is focused on providing a safe way for people to engage and donate to these animals in the organizations we love from their own homes. And before I pass it off to my colleague, Michael, I just want to say thank you all for coming here, and a big shout out to the Innovate Birmingham staff, and especially Josh, Garrett, and Jake, our instructors. And now to Michael.
Hey, thanks, Boyd. My name is Michael Green, and in addition to my help coding the backend and the front end of the website, I worked on building out the database for ZooTube. I built the database using MySQL and MySQL Workbench. The database is the foundation for ZooTube, and it houses all the links for the live streams, the organization websites, and the donation links, etc. Finding all of the regional animal streams and compiling all the animal fun facts was definitely a highlight for me of working on the database. So after the database is up and running, it was time to hand it over to Jared to connect it to our front end. And now I'll hand it over to Jared and let him walk you through that process. Thank you.
Thanks, Michael. My name is Jared Nelson, and I worked connecting the database to our front end. In order to accomplish this task, I implemented Express.js and the creation of these routes. This allows our users to request specific streams on our front end and have it link to the corresponding information in our database. These routes I wrote for ZooTube ensures that the user will receive the correct information and web pages when interacting with our front end. I also was able to help design some of the front end, and to tell you more about that portion of the website, I'd like to introduce Zach Farmer.
Thank you, Jared. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Zach Farmer, and I was responsible for brand development, user interface, and designing the front end you see today. Our homepage includes a featured stream, which has a link to the organization and a link to show your support with a donation. On the top is a nav bar, which allows you to navigate to different parts of our website. ZooTube was built with a combination of TypeScript, React, Node.js, Bootstrap, and Sass. I also use Photoshop to design our logo and the map that allows you to select any animal you'd like to watch. I'll now hand this over to Anthony Suarez to tell you more about the components that he built for our site.
Hey, thank you, Zach. Hello, everybody. My name is Anthony Suarez. I was part of the front-end development team using React.js, Node.js, and Bootstrap. And we pulled our feature from the database to where we have about 7 of them. And you can cycle through to see the animals that they offer and go down and see which animals the Monterey Bay Aquarium has, and we have a button for an animal fun fact that pops out and gives you a quick fun fact about the animal, and then close that out, and it redirects you to the live stream of that animal if you want to watch some penguins, or as well, we have otters as well in this one. And if you want to make a donation to them, we have a link set up to where it'll reroute you to the donation page for them, and as well as the home page for the specific zoo exhibit that we are offering in our database. And I would like to pass this off to Boyd.
Thanks, guys. We're really proud of the work we put into this website and the support we hope we can give to these animals and their organizations. I hope you like the project and are ready to watch some amazing animals at home and give back to them. Again, just want to say great job to everyone so far, and I hope you all have a great day. Thank you.
All right. Good job, guys. Okay, so here's our third team. Their project is a coveted item for the Innovate Birmingham staff. It's a professional development portal. And here to present that is Christopher Cobb. Chris.
Thank you, Josh. Hello, everyone. My name is Christopher Cobb with Sage Productions, and I am pleased to introduce the Innovate Birmingham Candidate Portal for Professional Development. Students in both the web development and data analytics programs will now be able to use this portal to organize all of the resources Innovate provides for them throughout their bootcamp experience. Innovate administrators will have the ability to access candidates' professional development documents and offer feedback while tracking their progress throughout the course. Beyond making this site for Innovate as a thank you for their training and support, we wanted future candidates to have a place to build on the professional development training they'll receive throughout the course. In the web development program, for instance, we have tools such as GitHub, VS Code, and Covalence to store files, the technical aspects of the training. But there isn't a similar resource for the professional development side of things until now. This portal was designed to make the process of preparing for the job market a more streamlined and efficient one for Innovate candidates, while also providing administrators with a place to access everything they need to support candidates in that process. Once again, Christopher Cobb and I was involved in creating our MySQL database, where we used Amazon S3 to store photos and resumes. I also had a role in functionality, developing front-end components, content, and styling. Our team worked extremely well together, with everyone contributing to the open and design. Now I will let the rest of my team introduce themselves and specify what roles they have in development, followed by a walkthrough of our candidate portal. Thank you so much.
Hi, my name is Terrence Hackett. I worked primarily on the backend and server side of our application using Node.js and Express.js. I also worked on the authentication for our site. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I'm Rashad Gaston. I work in the front development user interface using Sass, React, and Bootstrap.
My name is Sparrow Estes. I worked on front-end development, user experience, and styling using React.js, Bootstrap, and Sass.
My name is Andrew Trawick. In addition to the technologies already mentioned, I used agile methods to organize our ideas in our workflow, helped plan out our database, managed our Git flow, and then worked primarily on front-end development, styling, user experience, and our user interface. Now, before we log in, I do want to mention the background image for our site. One of the reasons we chose such a nice picture of Birmingham, Innovate's done so much for the local tech community. We really believe pride in our city is something that goes right along with their mission here. And we wanted candidates to feel that pride for Birmingham as well. Now, the site is scalable down to mobile, as you'll see, so that users can log in right from the lobby of a local tech company for some last-minute interview prep moments before that interview begins. Now, as I begin to do the walkthrough, I am going to log in here as an admin so that you'll see some of that functionality, although I do want to kind of work this walkthrough as if I'm using it as a candidate for the first time. So here we are at our home page. Probably the first thing I want to do here is look at my bio. I think the picture looks great there. I have my bio written, and I probably want to edit my name here. I think that'll look a little more professional. Once I'm happy with that, I want to check out a little bit of the rest of the site. I see I can connect with Innovate on their social media channels. I see Selena from the data class and Boyd from ZooTube doing their TV spots earlier this week. They did a great job with that. We can also, since we're doing this program virtually, we do not always have occasion to get down to the campus, but for a few things we do professional headshots. As you saw, some of us will go down and do TV spots so we can link to Google, get directions. You won't see the email window because I'm only sharing one screen here, but that will pop up as well as we can go to Innovate Birmingham's main site. One thing we definitely want to show you is the wonderful staff here. These people have helped us and supported us so much over the past 3 months. Really appreciate them. So you'll be able to log in and see the current staff. Now, as I go back to home here, I see that one of the admins has added an alert. Do you realize demo day is here? Updated resumes. I think I do want to look at my resume. Now, since I'm logged in as an admin, I'll be routed to this page with a list of current candidates, but I can click on any of them and see Salma has an resume updated here. We can look that over. Come down to the bottom for some feedback from administrators. We can talk back and forth with them and really get that resume nailed down before we leave the program. Probably the next thing I want to visit is the flashcards site. Now, it's one thing, as you know, to be able to do the work, but being able to speak the language is another. It's something we wanted to provide some help for people going out into interviews, be able to talk well about the technical expertise they have. We have a stack of flashcards here for web development. We also have one for the data class. You can flip back and forth between cards and, of course, back to front. Really nail down your technical knowledge. The last main section I want to go over, interview prep. We have a common and custom interview question page. Elevator pitches I wanted to show you. This was something we learned that was interesting in our very first professional development session with Innovate. Elevator pitch is a great way to introduce yourself and spark some interest, whether it's during an interview or if you're meeting someone at an event. The site will walk you through developing one for yourself. Then I can scroll down. I have a few saved. I can And if I can type. Close enough. There we go. So once I have that in, I can save. And it looks like that one saved down here as well. I can practice from here, and then just like practicing in front of a mirror, I'm actually going to have to go over here and stop my Zoom camera real quick so that you'll be able to see when I turn on this camera. It will present me with a window here, and I can say something smart like, thank you for coming to the session here today. Glad to have you all. And then you have to watch yourself play it back, but that'll give you some good feedback on how you're doing, help you prepare to meet people out in the industry. Now back to the main portion of our site. This concludes the walkthrough. We certainly hope you enjoyed it, that we've been able to give back to Innovate Birmingham for all they've given us over the past few months. And I know they will continue to do. We hope this will be useful to candidates and administrators alike as the program continues to support the local tech community here in Birmingham. Thank you very much.
All right, great job, guys. Okay, so for our fourth and final team, their project is called Localhost. And to tell you more about it is Doc Scott. Doc?
Hello, everyone. I'm excited to introduce you to our Birmingham lifestyle experience, Localhost. In this trying time, our team wanted to create a fun and creative solution for people of Birmingham to stay connected to our amazingly rich culture of food and entertainment in the city, while also creating a spotlight for our locally owned small businesses. Localhost sets out to revive the life that is missing in our city, aiming to keep people engaged, businesses open, and even provide a connection to people's favorite places, even while socially distancing. You need a new spot for date night? We got you covered. Can't decide where to have dinner? We got that too. Had a great experience and want to remember the place? All of that and more exists within Localhost. This app highlights and catalogs the gems of Birmingham, many that you may know and many that you may not know. And whether Birmingham is a vacation spot or your forever home, you will absolutely find something new and exciting to try. I am Doc Scott, one of the designers and developers on this team. I focus on the user experience, front-end design, and giving our app a sophisticated and unique feel that feels engaging and fun. I'm going to pass it off to Ashley to hear more about her contributions to our app.
Hello, my name is Ashley Webster, and I created our backend database using MySQL. I built our server-side routing using React, Node, and Express.js, as well as conducted manual API testing. Now I'll pass it off to Will. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I want to thank you all for participating in our Cohort's Demo Day. My name is William Perry, and I'm a lead developer for Localhost. Our primary responsibilities include detailing user functionality, account authorization and storage, as well as data encryption. Our users can rest assured that their personal information is not accessible to anyone but them. Thank you for your time, and now I'll pass it off to my colleague, Hunter, to speak more about his involvement.
Thank you, Will. Hello, everyone. My name is Hunter Isbell, and I worked on the front end. More specifically, I worked on the functionality and the user accounts of the website. I really hope y'all like what y'all see, and I am now going to pass this off to Lucas, who is going to kind of guide y'all through this website that we have created. Lucas?
Hey everyone, I'm Lucas Dommett. Thank you for joining us. Since I'm the last person from the last group today, I'd like to take a second to thank everyone who's here for joining us, and every teacher, every person who's come into our class. It's been incredible. It's been wild. It's been crazy. So let's get to the point. I was sort of the guy who oversaw our project development, the whole thing, piecing it together. But my main responsibility was constructing the front end using React and TypeScript, figuring out a lot of the logic to populate the pages. And the primary tool I focused on was using Google's Places API to cross-reference with their own personalized curated database to populate info that'll stay up to date for, indefinitely. So Hunter, if you will, if you could log in on our homepage, please. Hunter is a new user, so we can see him coming in. Got a good success. All right, so you can see we have three main categories: restaurants, bars, attractions. We aim to highlight a lot of what's special about Birmingham, and you might be thinking, well, I could just search on Google. I could use Yelp. Well, this is something unique. This is separate, specific to us, focusing purely on what is local and what's special here. Granted, we do have a little of exception under the attractions to get things a little bit wider because, you know, like Topgolf, everyone wants to go there. So Hunter, if you will, let's look at the restaurants first. All right, see, here's our list. Now, let's say, you know, you just want to try something new. You've been in a rut. Maybe you're just cooking at home. You need a night out. Tons of different things. But you don't want to go do the same old, hit another chain. You come on here, you populate a full list. Instead of incorporating a search option, we want to see this list of just what's local. So that way, you're getting exposed to new things you might have not found or even heard of before, whether it's for lunch, dinner, breakfast, you name it. Now, as you can see, you can click on it and expand it. You got the hours, you got the Google user rating, phone number. Down below, you can click and you'll be able to go straight to their website. And we even have the little address in there for directions. But we could skip over that part. None of us are driving right now. Let's see. All right, so next up, we'll go to our bar section. So you get tired after work. I know COVID's making social life a little bit difficult, but every now and then you still want to head out, maybe blow off a little steam. We got a whole list of bars curated, starting with the Atomic Lounge and a personal favorite I just came across while developing our list, the Pilcrow there. Super cool spot. It's got the same idea as our restaurants page. Maybe you need a new location. Maybe you just don't get out much. We got you. You just come here, you search through, you read the descriptions and find what fits you. And we got one more page. Now we got our attractions. And on the attractions page, there's a lot of stuff around Birmingham. We do expand a little bit, but let's say, you know, you got an extra Saturday. I mean, not most of us, you know, really don't have just free time to kill all the regular, but, you know, maybe you want to go experience something new. Like one, you got the Birmingham Museum of Art. A lot of our team are creative. So let's say you're trying to plan a date or just fill up time on your day out. You can come on here and just sort through all the options and hopefully learn something new. Now we do have another page. Now this one is for people who just don't know what they want. It's our random. We have a little generator. It's for all 3 sections. And whenever you click on it, it'll come up with a different result. And, you know, I don't know what I want for dinner. I don't know what to eat. What do you want to eat? What do I want to eat? We're all tired of it. So you can come on here, you can click it a few times and boom, the decision's made for you. You've got a plan, you've got your dinner, you got the bar after, and you've got, depending upon what attraction you get, maybe that evening, maybe the next day. So, all right, Hunter, if you want to back out from there, since he's a new user, he doesn't have any favorites available to display. But one thing we really want to focus on is being able to curate a list of what you prefer and where you'd like to go for yourself. And since he's a new user, if you'd like to go ahead and back off your screen sharing, I'll go ahead and put mine up since I've kind of been in this already. And it helps me put a spotlight on some places I really enjoy too. It's like Little Donkey here, got a couple good drinks. The Hive is a new place I'm gotta get to. It's been way too long, guys. COVID has been such a long lockdown. But as you can see, we've got everything you need to find something to enjoy. We hope you've enjoyed looking at our product and you'll be using it to find your next night out. Thank you so much for joining us.
Love that. Good job, guys. So as with every cohort, I want to commend all the staff at Innovate Birmingham as well for their hard work, as well as our curriculum partner Covalence for their hard work and their continued support in developing the workforce in Birmingham. This concludes our presentations, and I'm going to pass it over to Haley and our judges.
Fabulous work, web dev class. All right, judges, if you'll turn on your cameras. And I know that you all have kind of split up some of your questions, so let's go ahead and get started. We've got 5 to 7 minutes on the clock.
I'll go first. I have a question for the last group. I've spent the last 10 years working on Instagift and growing birminghammenus.com. So this is a familiar one for me. I'm curious, we always struggle with keeping up-to-date data on our website. Restaurants close, locations close, times change, hours. availability, location. I'm curious how you got the data and how you plan to keep up the data on a daily basis.
It's the Google API. It's doing the work for us. It's been a little bit of a struggle. We had to fight with it a bit to make it cooperate. But as places keep their own information or Google keeps it up to date on there, every time you go to our site, it repopulates it with what is current now. So, I mean, occasionally even Google on their own will have little nicks here and there, but for most of it, daily hours, everything is going to be kept up to date. Even phone number changes. That was the whole reason we specifically wanted to do it the way we did it, cross-referencing our database with the API. We took on that challenge intentionally just so the relevancy of our product could go well beyond this.
Awesome.
I have a question for the ZooTube team. How did y'all think about your users? You know, kind of, I guess it would be kids using this. How did you think about how they like to interact with the kind of interface you built?
So we had a couple options. One was keep it simple, fun facts, buttons you can click, that kind of thing. We didn't necessarily need to implement a user database for that, because that just allows them to get on. It's, a couple buttons. There's nothing that's going to pop up, just straightforward like that.
So I have a question for the ProDev portal, I think. So I noticed that your app looked like it was deployed to Heroku. Is it just one application, or is the API a separate Heroku app?
Yeah, the application's fully on Heroku. We also deployed our database, so you can basically just free use the app as it is right now.
So the API and the front end are all hosted by the same Express server?
It is.
Okay, cool. Where are the recordings stored for the pitch practice?
It's stored on the database that we use this ClearDB with Heroku, so it's stored in that database that is tied to it.
Hey, I have a question for Tasky. Actually, two. One is very small. Is there a visual differentiation between the mandatory tasks and the ones that aren't mandatory? And the bigger question, I'm curious about the market research y'all did, and what product would you be, or what service would you be competing with?
So ideally, we would have two different dashboards, one for a child login and one for an adult login. And we did build into our database a category element. So those mandatory events would be color coded. And when a child logs on to see their dashboard, those mandatory events would be a different color and they would not be able to click on them to edit it. So they would be two very distinct and different interfaces. And I'm going to let Chris take that second question.
So for the second question, we would be competing with other sources like Moodle, or we'd be competing with course modules, or even Google Calendar itself. But our aim is to be as open-ended as possible. So we created an API that actually shares the data, and we do it through, we're basically going to do that in the future, maybe reaching out to them and saying that this service is more so for the learning environment rather than just being another calendar app out there.
So if I'm understanding correctly, it's a little bit of an aggregator, like it can link to Moodle and other things, and it'll pull everything into one spot.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
So as far as the market research, also, we did question several parents that have kids in the age group that we're looking at. Our target user would be parents with children ages 8 and up. So I think that age group, around 8 to 10 years old, they're able to actively navigate websites. There's probably some out there that can code better than us, but we're not going to talk about that. That age group specifically, being able to instill time management practices in that young of an age, they can carry it with them everywhere that they go, and it will really prepare them for later on in life. But one of the things that the parents really voiced that their frustrations were just not having everything in one place. They've got to log on to 3 different websites to get assignments from their kids. They've got to log into 2 other different things to talk to their teachers. So being able to have like an all-in-one dashboard wherever, like they just log into one site and everything is there, was very, very important to us.
Thank you.
All right, we've got 1 minute and 30 seconds left. Do we have any other questions?
Yeah, I had a follow-up question, hopefully really quickly for Tasky as well. So I noticed you're using Google authentication, which is great, but how do you link the parents to the children if they both using the site, if there's a Google gate in front of it?
Actually, that's a great question. So what we did is we actually pulled out Google ID from the authentication, and then we pass it on as an identifier or like a specific ID, which becomes like a relation or a family. So that value would allow the parents to be linked with their children. So when users go in their dashboard, only their children is linked to them, and that we could pass in that ID that which easily translates to other services like Moodle or even a Curiosity Stream with Google's API.
All right, great job, everybody. If that's it, I think we're just about out of time. So we are going to be moving to the breakout rooms. And judges, you have that deliberation link, so we're going to head on over.
Okay, everyone else, we have a 10-minute intermission for the judges to be able to make their final decisions. We have a little slideshow here for you, so please enjoy, take a little break, and we'll be right back.
If you are interested in the tech career, maybe you're looking for a new career, then Innovate Birmingham is definitely for you. They got a serious deadline coming up this Friday. We'll talk about that in a second, but I want to bring in Boyd Graves, who is a web development in the web development program here. How you doing, Boyd?
I'm good, JJ. Good morning. How are you?
Good. How are you? All right. So tell me a little bit about this web development. What's cool about it?
So basically, you start from scratch. Going from not knowing anything, that's fine. Starting the program, baby steps, and you learn everything from like the front end that you look at and interact with to the back end that stores all the information. And what I found really cool is you learn about all these different opportunities for like careers, like things you didn't even know existed. You can like follow that career path. You learn more about just about everything in there has to do with web development.
Yeah. And what's cool about web development is like everybody is going to the web. I mean, especially now with COVID-19, if you don't have something online, then you're pretty much dead in the water, basically.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, like we're all remote right now.
Yeah.
Everything is done through websites. So being able to create that, know how those things work has been like really helpful. Yeah. And I'm looking forward to getting a career.
On a normal class, this whole class would be filled. This is actually your first time in here.
It is my first time,
it is
yeah.
remote,
It's actually pretty interesting being here for the first time. Like you said, everything's remote right now. But that's actually been really beneficial, I think, because a lot of the jobs out there are hiring remote. So knowing how that works has been like, I think, a good addition to the program.
Yeah. What would you tell everybody out there who maybe, just like you, just say, hey, you know, I'm interested in a tech career? First and foremost, like you said, there's a whole lot more jobs out there than you ever thought, right?
Right. Well, I'd say even if you don't know anything at all about it, you don't need to. Like, Innovate Birmingham can give you, you know, from the very start, walk you through how to do everything. Yeah. And you'll learn anything you can. So if you're just a little bit interested, check it out, go to their website.
I want to introduce you to Selena Abdullah. How you doing, Selena?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. Okay, so first of all, you're from Houston.
Yes.
And you are doing, what was it you're majoring in?
I majored in public health.
Yeah.
Well, I was in Houston at University of Houston, and I graduated from there. And I interned at Harris County Public Health, one of the largest counties. And during that internship, we had Hurricane Harvey that hit too. So we were out in the field, we were analyzing communities, analyzing diseases, and just focusing on what the community needs more education on.
Yeah.
So during that, I was doing a lot of visualizing data, and I was into Excel, and I feel like I didn't have enough knowledge.
Yeah.
So I moved here last year, and I've just been looking into what to do during COVID, looking into my master's, but I'm like, let me take a step back and try to see what I want to do. And I remembered my public health course, and I'm like, okay, data, let me look into that a little bit more.
So data analytics is what you decided to do.
Yeah, so I decided to do data analytics here at Innovate Birmingham.
Now I hear that is like on fire right now. It's like very popular. There's all kind of companies who need data analytics. Like you said, who knew that public health would need data analytics? Everybody needs it right now, right?
Yeah, so we're doing a lot of like visualizing, data mining, data cleaning, and much less on the data entry side, but more on like how to visualize the data, how to clean it up properly. There's like Excel sheets that are like 2,000 rows long, and just how to condense that and how to look at it to where it's easier for someone that doesn't know anything about data.
Yeah. So Boyd talked about it earlier. He said, even if you don't know anything about it, what would you say about this program, Innovate Birmingham, for people out there who are just saying, okay, man, there's no way I'm going to be able to figure out this stuff? What would you tell them?
So I stepped in with that mindset. I knew a little bit about Excel, and I feel like I'm glad I took the jump. Like I went for it. Now we've learned Excel, Access, Tableau, SQL, and just all these things that are so hot in the job market right now. You just have to go for it. You have to push yourself and just be motivated throughout the course. And obviously, like the management team, the instructors, they're very helpful. They will make you understand if you don't know anything at all.
All right, y'all, we'll be back with some exciting announcements in 5 minutes. So if you need to get up and stretch, use the restroom, go ahead and do so, and we'll check right back in with y'all. We've got 1 more minute, y'all. All right. The judges may be still deliberating. We are just going to hang on for just 1 second.
All right, all of our judges should be back in. Let's double check. All right, we'll go ahead and get started. Well, welcome back, everybody. And again, thank you everyone for coming. This has been really exciting. Before we announce the winning teams from both data and web development, I would like to share a short video clip of a story of one of our participants who actually just presented a few moments ago in the web development class. So Diva, if you could share the video real quick.
Hi, my name is Amanda Parrott, and I'm a current student in the web development course at Innovate Birmingham. I'm so excited to be here, and I'm learning so much more than I ever thought was possible. I came in with very little coding experience, but I'm gaining new skills and becoming a more confident coder every day. Innovate Birmingham is giving me the tools that I need to be successful in a way that is intuitive, attainable, and in tune with how the real-world technology industry runs. In addition to coding classes, Innovate Birmingham has provided us with professional development classes that have taught us about new innovations in the job market, new life skills, and how to navigate new roles. This amazing program provides you with all the skills that you need to be successful and more support than you could ever imagine, from professional, financial, personal, technical, anything that you need to be successful. I'm so excited to see where this takes me, and I can't wait to give back to this program that's given so much to me.
So I hope you all enjoyed that. Thank you so much, Amanda, for sharing your story. And with that, I see employer partners on this call. I see alumni. I see family members and friends. And I see current participants that are now tech professionals ready to leap into the workforce. And I don't know, some of you may not know this, but Innovate Birmingham is a nonprofit organization. And we want to continue to be able to improve the quality of people's lives that come into our program. And we want to continue to locally grow the Birmingham tech ecosystem. So that's really growing local talent with people that may have barriers to that workforce. And we need your help to do that. So there's lots of different ways that you can get involved and to help support Innovate Birmingham and help us sustain our mission of fueling local tech talent in the Magic City. But today I would like to ask you to consider including Innovate Birmingham in your end of year giving plans. Feel free to email me if you have any questions. If you want to talk about ways you can support, I'd be happy to discuss those with you. But you can also quickly just go to innovatebham.com/donate and make a gift before the end of the year and help us continue to support all these amazing people like you've seen today and people like Amanda that shared her story. So without further ado, let's get to the winners. Can I have a drum roll? Okay, for data, group 3, the mental health group, if I'm saying that correctly. Well done. Do we have a representative from data from that group that can give us a quick thank you Oscar speech? We won't kick you off with tubas.
Yes, my name is Karen Van Woudenberg, and I'm just lost for words. Thank you so much for the recognition and the award. This opportunity has been so incredible. I can speak for our entire team. Not only the tools that we've learned, the new strategies, the data analytics, and all of the above, I can't even comprehend to explain to you. It's been an amazing experience connecting with people, connecting with Birmingham, networking, and all of that. Robin, her team, and Taylor and Reggie have just been absolutely fabulous in supporting us. There are days where we're just tearing our hair out and they're there helping us. For me personally, it's just given me so much confidence, and it has helped me in my resolve to return to IT and learn. And I'm very grateful to Innovate Birmingham and Think Data. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Thank you so much, Karen. And all of you data folks are winners. Y'all all did an incredible job. And again, congratulations, group 3. All right, we need one more drum roll. Web Dev, Tasky is the winner.
Wow, thank you. Our group members were myself, Nikki, Robert, Chris, and Sigrita. We worked incredibly hard on this, and like it feels really good to see that all of that hard work came across. Thank you so much to all of the Innovate Birmingham staff and our instructors. You guys have given us a tremendous skill set, and I think we'll all be forever grateful to you guys. Wow, this is really exciting. Thank you.
Congratulations, everyone. Thanks again. Danita, passing it back to you.
Congratulations, everyone. I'm so proud of you all. As you've seen, it's taken us less than 2 hours really to go through and allow the candidates to present their projects. But as Robin mentioned earlier, I can guarantee you that the hours, time, and dedication it has taken to get to this point cannot be counted. So I just want to thank our candidates for setting their minds to completing this program. If you look at all of the people on the screen, they all had a story. They come from different backgrounds. They look differently. They think differently. And so to be able to navigate in this virtual space has been a challenge in itself. So I just want to congratulate all of you for finishing this program and sticking to their guns. We know that it's hard, but you have made a huge step towards your future, and we're so proud of you. I want to also take this opportunity to thank our judges, our community partners, our board members for supporting us today. A special thanks again to our amazing team at Innovate Birmingham. You are invaluable to today's success. Thank you so much for your hard work get us to this point. Congratulations again to our winning groups. But honestly, all of you all are winners today. You are the newest graduates of Innovate Birmingham. So congratulations to you all. And thank you everyone, your friends and family, all of our viewers today for watching. Thanks so much, and we'll see you next time.